Hello, my name is Greg, Soul Searching Gaijin. That's me. Long time no see. So I hope to today explain to you, show you what I've been up to and why you haven't seen me so much. I've been quite busy. So essentially it's been, for those of you who are following me, it's been around 6 months since I actually declared on YouTube that I want to perform live. I was kind of like a bedroom producer. I had a recording studio, played in a lot of bands, and did lots of productions, worked with a lot of people, basically my whole adult life. But I always wanted to perform live, and I never really, aside from being in a band, I never really had the courage, confidence, or ever really believed that I could pull it off. And something clicked a few months back, just about 6 months ago, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So this is kind of about, I would say, I guess, about my progress, my progression. I just finished the second show that I have ever played doing this stuff about 10 days ago, and it went much better than the first. The first one I was not really prepared for at all. Second one I felt quite prepared for, but I still learned some, I don't know, tough lessons. I don't think I did that bad. I think the music flowed really well. I was very prepared on this front. What I wasn't so prepared on was this guy over here, the Soma Terra, which I really like. I love this instrument. I was relying on doing a little bit of improvising, and if you had seen my setup on the first set, I brought a keyboard with me, Arturia Mini Freak, which I think is absolutely beautiful, and I still use it all the time, even though it's not in my setup right here today. I took it out about a week before the second show because I found jumping from this keyboard over here, which I'm not really a keyboard player, I'm a drummer, and then going over to the Soma and playing on there, that was enough just to handle those two. But then I had all of this to deal with here, plus this, and then the Fader Fox, which essentially is controlling everything in AUM, which I'm using as my live mixer, live real-time effects that I have control of on this over here. I also have some elements sequenced that don't necessarily run in sync with the playhead, so I can bring them up to help me do some transitions in between things, or to start the set out with them by kind of like playing, just doing some weird stuff. Kind of creating like an ambience before I start or at the end as an outro. So there was a lot to handle. I found that on the keyboards, the first show, I just totally like just messed it all up. I'm not a keyboard player. If I know exactly what I'm doing and I'm very comfortable, I can pull it off. I've done that quite a few times in the past in other videos, and I feel comfortable on them. But given the complexity of what I'm working with here, that was just too much. So I committed about a week before my second show to just letting the Terra be my only melodic instrument, and I went up on stage with just this box here and the Terra, and it went pretty well. I think for me, when I'm up on stage, I don't want to just press buttons and unmute and mute things and tweak filters. I want to show people that I'm actually playing something. And since this was my main instrument, I overplayed. I played more than I needed to, and I was trying to practice less is more on the advice of a really good friend that kind of helped me out. Michael, thank you. And I still overplayed, and I still kind of fumbled quite a bit. I would say 50% of it was kind of cool, and the other 50% was a little much. So I had a little rethink, and I am a drummer, and the one thing that I'm very comfortable with, and I've always wanted to really incorporate in here ever since I settled in on the core of this setup, is live looping. And I found something that I think is going to, well, that I already know is working out really good for me. It plays on the strengths of me being a drummer. This is a Hand Sonic. It's probably about a 10-year-old instrument, but it's really expressive. that's just one kit, and there's a bazillion kits in here, and I can put my own samples, which I intend to do, creating my own custom things in here. Right now I'm getting comfortable for my next show so I can do some live percussion looping live in AUM with this guy. So essentially it took me quite a few months. I would say, in all honesty, probably a good 5 months to really settle in, to know what I wanted in this rig, to get it to the size where it is today, to have all the flexibility and the possibility that I wanted with completely just hardware, without a iPad. And I definitely didn't want to bring a laptop. I mean, iPad's a much smaller form factor. That played a big part in it. But I don't know. I just did not. My laptop is my main studio computer, and I didn't want to be bringing that out on the road. So by incorporating this iPad and finding AUM, which is really amazing, and I kind of want to go over a little bit of how that's helping me today, because that's it is pretty amazing. Okay, that's not my wife, is it? No, good. I still have time. So essentially, I want to show you how this all works, and what I think is really special about it. Okay, so I do have live looping set up in here. Let's play a little bit of music, something simple. Okay, so I'm working on music for my third set, which is going to be January 7th. I have plenty of time. What you're hearing now is just ideas. Everything's not fleshed out into patterns. They're just like the general foundation of things that I'm working on. So let's see if we come over here so you can kind of see what's going on a little bit more, give you a different view of things. Okay, AUM, let's go here so you can see this guy, the Fader Fox. You can't see it really good. I'll try to use this hand over here. So the Fader Fox I have mapped to multiple things in AUM. For instance, I have this sound over here that I'm playing on the Terra. Now if I come over here in the Fader Fox, I get these crazy effect that I can fade in and out. Really nice. I love that. I love that. And then over here on, let's see if I come over to here. So if you see second from the right, when I slide this guy over, you can kind of hear a little bit of glitchy stuff going on, and that is an effect I have called Replicant 3, which is really nice. It just does some crazy stuff. Let me see if I can. Yeah, you hear, it's just like a stutter effect, but allows you to do a lot with. That's actually really nice on that piece. That's kind of cool. And then on my master, if you look on the far left, you'll see a little yellow line popping up. That's a plugin called Transit, which I have. And I have that mapped to my Fader Fox as well. So as you can see, I'm sliding it in and out. And this is nice because once again, it's just giving me, with a simple pattern, just by playing with some effects, I can get drastic variation. And I also have, if I'm over on the right one, different presets mapped. So I can flip between presets. I can use these for transitions, or I can just kind of stick it in the middle. just for like a whole different spacey vibe on things, which is really, really cool. Now, if I come back to here so you can see what's going on a little bit, I also have on the Fader Fox just some static sounds that I can bring in for intros before I ever start my set. These are not synced to my playhead. Just kind of creating a crazy little ambience. And then say for instance, we're not going to have a good transition because I don't have them set up yet, but I'm just flipping to a new pattern. Okay, yeah, and we're getting a lot of glitchy because of this guy over here. There you go. So you can see how that allows me to get from one point to another. And also in here on the Fader Fox, I have this loop going, right? Which is an instance of, where are we at? Instance of this program called Fugue. And essentially it's giving me 4 playheads. This is one, the flute. This is another one. And they all run independent of each other, time, direction, octave. It's pretty beautiful. And then this is a third one that I have, a nice string. And then the fourth is a piano, which over here, I also have that piano. Has an instance of of transit on it. Okay, so which is really kind of nice. So that's given me a lot of options. And then I come all the way down here to the end. I can turn all of those off, right? Now I want to bring this guy up over here. Let's go to here. Boom. I just set this up today and I still have to work out some kinks in it. But essentially, this is allowing me to do some live looping. So let's see what we get. Okay, let's put something else in. Okay, let's do a little, come over here and do something crazy. I should, in theory, be able to add, that's a little sloppy there. We'll get rid of that one. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So that was nice. That essentially I have, okay, let's hit stop over here. Let's come over here. Okay, so essentially, yeah, I have my Hand Sonic giving me drums, and the Somatera give me melody. And I have them both routed to a looper, Loopy Pro in AUM, which is really nice. I have a really tiny little Bluetooth foot switch, which has six little knobs on it, and all it does is I just have that mapped in here, so I can record and stop recording, jump to the next track, so I can record multiple things. I don't have it specifically mapped the way I want to, where I can stop and start a loop, I can clear loops, and I've been struggling with that. I just really got this up and running today, so I just kind of wanted to show you that. But essentially, that is how I'm kind of leveraging AUM. For me, like I said, it's a mixer. I have effect sends, I have a reverb, a delay, and a chorus, which is not really a chorus. I'm using my chorus send as actually like a granular synth send, so a granular synth plugin send. So anything on any of the channels I have routed in here, I can send to these effects. And I am using internal keyboard sounds in here. Like I said, you can hear some of them. And they're all routed to effects, as well as all my external gear. I have a sound card that is allowing me to have 8 inputs, 4 stereo inputs. So I have my Digitactus 1 and 2, Digitone 3 and 4, Hansonic 5, 6, Terra 7 and 8. And that's given me maximum control over everything, which is great. And then also I have a black box up here, which I'm using for...
And what kind of a dream is this?
Using for one-shots.
I would call it a state of hypnosis.
Everything is an illusion.
Yeah.
Nothing is real.
And it's, once again, just like this, it's just filler. It helps me when I feel like I need to add something of interest. Things are getting a little stale while I set up the next thing. I can just reach over and tap a button and boom, it just triggers a one shot. And that's routed through my Digitone. So essentially, for me, I don't think I'm going to change this. I really don't. I'm in the process of mastering it. And I really didn't learn until after my second show, actually. And I'm sure I'll learn even more on my third. But the first one was just getting over the fear of doing it. The second one was I had some time, so I prepared for it. But then learning lessons of what I wasn't prepared for, thinking that I'd be able to improvise crazily on the fly, which was just, not realistic, especially on melodic stuff. When it comes to rhythms, I feel totally comfortable. I can pull that off. I'm not worried about that. Even if I don't loop, I can play stuff live. It's not a problem. And I think that's really going to be nice, because I think when you're on stage, at least for me, you really need to be comfortable. You need to be comfortable with your equipment. You need to be happy with what you can do. And if I didn't have these two pieces right here, I think I would always feel a little bit insecure about just having these boxes and just muting and unmuting and playing with filters, even though there's nothing wrong with people who do that. They're amazing at it. There's quite a few that I can think of. And you can really, even just with one of these boxes, do an amazing show. I'm just using the Digitact for drums and samples, the Digitone for all my melodic stuff. And I really love the Digitone because it's just the polyphony of the new Digitone allows me to not have to rely so much on a keyboard for extra sounds, because there's so much available in here and they sound amazing. Then the Fader Fox opened up the whole world of AUM for me, just kind of like any keyboard controller would do for people who use Ableton Live. It's pretty much the same idea, just for me in a smaller form factor. And I never really gelled with Ableton Live, even though I'm really comfortable with almost all the different DAWs. I've used most of them over all the years I've been doing this. But AUM is relatively a new one to me. iOS, doing music with iOS is totally new to me. And I really love this program and what it's allowing me to do. So yeah, so here I am working on music for the next the next show. Let's see what we got over here. So I have to figure out how I'm going to transition from this guy. I think it's going to be something like from one of those slower patterns into something with a little bit more energy. And this is where the fun part is, when you get to map everything out and figure out how it's all going to work. We'll do a little Control All. Sloppy transition, but you get the idea, right? Yeah. Oh, you know what? There you go. I still have my loopy pro patterns that I put in live going. We'll get rid of them. So you can kind of go crazy. You can kind of go crazy over here. Not really, I should not be trying to play two things with... Just showing you the possibilities, okay? You can kind of really get into it, and this is allowing me to kind of do what I wanted to do, which is be free to play on top of all this cool stuff that I can create in here. And with the touch of a couple knobs, really get all kinds of crazy, crazy sounds. So this is not going to work for everybody. Let me tell you, this setup that I have in here is incredibly complicated. That's one of the reasons you're not seeing me make a lot of videos, because I'm literally lost in the sauce trying to figure all this stuff out and just digest it all and kind of get comfortable. And it's only been the past few days. I gave myself a few days off after the second show just because I was exhausted from all the preparation. After a couple of days off, I finally got into making some new music, which I've been digging, man. I mean, there's just some really mellow things here, and it's a whole different vibe. Yeah, just doing some weird, kind of crazy stuff, man. And now that I have this set up this way and I understand how it all works and I'm developing the muscle memory, writing is such a dream because I know what I can do. I have access to so much at my disposal that it's just like I'm just free to come up with an idea, and then I know that it doesn't have to be super complicated and I can take it in 1,000 directions with what I have around me and make it evolve and really build to something. Create climaxes, drop downs, add all kinds of crazy stuff in there.
What kind of a dream is this?
Yeah, state of hypnosis.
Well,
I get lost in it. I get really lost in it. And I'm really having the time of my life, guys. So, I would say take your time, learn your gear. Don't rush trying to find a setup that works for you. You really have to find what works for you. I've just been blessed in a sense that I've been able to go through this process and cycle through some gear and then sell what hasn't worked for me. I've made some stupid choices. I've made some impulse buys. I've learned a lot in that process. But at the same time, I've also acquired some pieces of gear which I've incorporated into my main studio, which are amazing, which I'm going to actually be using for sound design to import samples into my Digitact as I get going. But I'm at the point now with this where once I get the live looping kind of ironed out, it's just about creating music. The hard part's over. It was a few months of really diving deep to learn. I did not know how to do most of this stuff a few months ago. I knew how to program some things. I didn't really, everything talks to one another. I didn't know how to do that. This talks to that, this talks to that, this talks to this. This controls things in here. It's amazing. It's the power of the gear these days and what things can do. And I just had to dive really deep into it. And along the way, I had to learn what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And as I said, now I really feel like this has got me for the next decade. I don't see where I could, I don't see me getting anything else other than maybe a better MIDI foot controller with an expression pedal would be really nice to be able to kind of do what I'm doing here with my hands while I'm playing. But Behringer makes one of those for like $119. And the only thing that's keeping me from doing that is it weighs like 10 pounds. The one I have now weighs less than a pound. And I'm trying to keep this nice and small because that's the other thing in doing 2 shows. None of them were in the city that I live, and I have to travel on trains about anywhere from half hour, 45 minutes, up to an hour actually, depending on what stop I get off of. And it's a lot. You want to bring as little as possible. And even adding this is something I had to really consider because it comes with, I have a stand that I'm going to be bringing, and then this piece. This piece weighs next to nothing. The stand weighs a little bit, but for what it's giving me, and like I said, since I am a drummer, I love this. I can't wait to show you how I incorporate this. This is literally, I'm just so excited to have this thing. It sounds really nice. It's just so expressive. And that's really what I was looking for, a way to be very expressive. A regular keyboard, it's okay, but this Terra over here is just so much more. Just does so much more. And same thing with this, it's just super expressive. So I finally found a setup that's going to let me voice my voice. Say what I want to say and create the music I want to create. And I can't say enough good things about the Electron Box. They're amazing. Hey cats. So I took up enough of your time. I do ramble. I did miss you. I do miss making videos on YouTube, but the past few weeks, few months, it's really been more important to me that I needed to learn how to do this live. That's the whole premise of what I've been doing and what I've been working towards. And 6 months in, I've now done 2 shows. I have a 3rd one lined up. And a 4th, tentatively, I just don't have a date for that. That should be somewhere in January or February. And I'm actively, a couple times a week, going out to get myself in the community, meet new people, watching new shows at least twice a week, and trying to get new gigs, trying to meet the promoters of these shows, and trying to work my way in, as well as learning Japanese. And I will say, it is a little hard to talk to a promoter in Japanese when you only speak this much of it and make an impression that isn't bad and not be the gaijin. So yeah, that's it. I don't know. I think what I'll show you next, once I get some time, is a little bit more in depth in how I'm using the MIDI mapping. I keep saying I'm going to do that for AUM because it's really useful for anybody who uses AUM. It unlocks that program in an amazing way. All right, so before I ramble all night long, all right, y'all, have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon.